How do you think, how do you want Tupac to be memorialized? How do you want him to be remembered?
Tupac is a man. He's not a weak person. So he don't want to be people to show him his love by tears and passing out. He wants people to be strong and stand up for him. And Tupac's a legend. Like I said, Tupac wasn't born, he was sent to us. I mean, he got the greatest mother in the world, but he was actually sent to her, and she was good enough to let him come to us. And he gave himself to the world. And Tupac will live forever.
Like I said, Tupac wasn't born, he was sent to us.
I mean, he got the greatest mother in the world, but he was
Actually sent to her, and she was good enough to let him come to us.
and he gave himself to the world.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody and their mama, you asked me to tell you what they did. The Panthers, what they plan was to do was for black people to do for themselves. And they felt like not hate white people, but just be more black. If we all just stop mixed racing, stop interracial marrying and all of that bullshit, just stay amongst our own families, we'll promote some kind of black love between man and woman. We'll have more kids. And we'll have more kids, we'll have a bigger population, you know what I'm saying? And if we own the businesses for our populations, then we'll have more money. If we have money, then we have power. If we have power, then we have land. If we have land, then we are people. But so they saw that COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program set up by J. Edgar Hoover, saw that the Panthers were doing a damn good job because all over the country they got this buzz, similar to how Thug Life is.
So drug life?
Thug Life.
Thug life.
Yeah. So now the Panthers got everybody talking about the Panthers and we want to be free and we want decent housing and talking good, not just bitch hole, you know, straight good. And they start infiltrating. Now, why would they do this to a young black organization? And why would you not think they would do it to me? They infiltrated them, meaning they got people to say that they were Panthers, they joined the Panthers, and they would start the ruckus. Like, say, let's go shoot up the Botanical Gardens or some shit. You know what I'm saying? And do it in the name of the Panthers, but it's a cop. You know what I'm saying? And everybody think it's the Panthers because he's dressed like a Panther. You know what I'm saying? And he's screaming the Panthers, but he's a cop. He's been sent by the FBI. They got papers to document this shit.
Know your enemy. Know your enemy. That's where what Pac and I learned as kids growing up about FBI, COINTELPRO, covert operations that, you know, that are invisible to you or can be real. You know what I mean? So
Do you think the Black Panthers were successful? Do you think that they were wiped out by the government, or how do you view the situation?
I think that they were successful because they bred me. You know, they got did in by the media, their love for cameras, and an extremely sinister government. And they just happen to be born in the same time as a motherfucker named J. Edgar Hoover, a homosexual with a big problem. So they just was his victims, you know what I'm saying?
I ended up finding these great underground activists that weren't talked about, such as the leading New York Black Panthers, the Shakurs, and that led me to a kind of a different history of Tupac Shakur, and also led me to see all kinds of things happening with the Students for Democratic Society, for example, the leading college anti-war activists in the country. So there was just a lot of different things I was hearing about that I felt like weren't covered in our mainstream history books. And I'm sorry about my dog barking in the background. But so that's what led me to explore how, you know, other ways that aren't being talked about how, you know, what was used to undermine them in terms of drugs but also try to highlight the great activism they were doing and how let's learn from this and not be undermined. Well, it turns out when I talked to Tupac's longtime mentor, political mentor, former Black Panther Chokwe Lumumba, who was his first business manager, he's told me, I basically asked, well, was Tupac only pretending to be a gangster in order to appeal to gangs and politicize them? And he said yes. And that was part of his thug life agenda they came up with his imprisoned stepfather, Mutulu Shakur, who was a great used acupuncture pioneer, using acupuncture for addictions therapy. And so Tupac was just using that in order to get the Bloods and the Crips leaders to call peace truces, first in Los Angeles, then throughout California, and then throughout the country. And that was why he was pretending to be this gangster type. And really, he was just an intellectual prodigy. People like his teachers in Baltimore, in the Baltimore Performing Arts School he went to, told me he was considered the brightest guy in the class. They elected him their leader to represent their school. He was the best actor they ever had. He was an intellectual prodigy.
He was the best actor they ever had.
So then he comes and he works in Virginia, which is called the CIA, and now he's the police chief of New York, a fucking criminal, gangster.